The emergency alarm echoed through the great hall of the Galactic Council. Red lights flashed across the metal walls. For the first time in 10,000 years, every council member was required to attend. Commander Zex of the Reptilian Empire slithered into his seat. His cold yellow eyes looked around the room. Something was very wrong. The council leader, Elder Vorth, stood at the center. His blue skin was pale with worry. "Fellow beings," Elder Vorth began, his voice shaking. "We have discovered a new species." The room stayed quiet. New species were found all the time. This was not unusual. "But this species is different," Vorth continued. "For the first time in our history, we are using the Category Red classification." Gasps filled the room. Category Red meant ultimate threat level. It meant danger to all life in the galaxy. Dr. Kellner, the head scientist, stepped forward. Her forearms held a data pad. "We have been watching them for 6 months," she said. "They call themselves humans." The large screen behind her lit up. Images of a blue and green planet appeared. Then closer shots of strange two-legged creatures. "At first, we thought they were simple animals," Dr. Kellner explained. "They have no natural weapons, no claws, no sharp teeth, no poison. They seemed weak," Commander Zex laughed. "These tiny things? Category Red. You must be joking." Dr. Kellner's expression grew serious. "Watch this footage, Commander." The screen showed humans in their daily lives. A human female was running. She ran for miles without stopping. The aliens watched in shock. "Their bodies never give up," Dr. Kellner said. "They can run for hours. They can go days without water. They heal from injuries that would kill most species." Next, the screen showed humans working together. They were building something tall and complex. "They work as a team naturally," Dr. Kellner continued. "But more disturbing. Watch this." The footage changed. It showed a human jumping into dangerous water to save another human who was drowning. The human risked his own life for a stranger. "They sacrifice themselves for others," Dr. Kellner said quietly. "Even for humans they don't know." Elder Vorth stepped forward again. "There is more. Show them the war footage." The screen filled with images of humans fighting. But these were not normal battles. Humans use tools and weapons, but they also use their minds. "They never fight the same way twice," Dr. Kellner explained. "Every battle they create new strategies. They learn from mistakes instantly. They adapt." One clip showed a human army that was losing. They were outnumbered, but they didn't surrender. Instead, they found a new way to win. "Most species surrender when defeat is certain," Elder Vorth said. "Humans refuse to give up, ever." Ambassador Quileth of the Insect Collective clicked her mandibles nervously. "But surely they are not intelligent enough to be truly dangerous." Dr. Kellner pressed a button. The screen showed human cities at night. Lights sparkled like stars across the planet. "They went from living in caves to flying in space in just 10,000 years, she said. "Most species take 100,000 years to achieve spaceflight." The room fell silent. They split the atom. They created artificial intelligence. They built machines that think, Dr. Kellner continued. And they did it all while fighting wars with each other. Commander Zex was no longer laughing. "What do you mean fighting each other?" "Humans fight constantly," Dr. Kellner replied. "But they also make peace. They marry members of enemy tribes. They trade with former enemies. They forgive." The screen showed humans from different races working together, eating together, laughing together. "They are the only species we have found that makes war and peace at the same time," Elder Vorth added. Ambassador Trilox raised a tentacle. "What makes them Category Red exactly?" Elder Vorth took a deep breath. "3 things make humans the ultimate threat. First, they never surrender. Second, they adapt instantly to any situation. Third, and most dangerous." He paused, looking around the room. "They make friends with their enemies. They turn threat into alliance. Every species they meet becomes stronger. They spread their never-give-up spirit to others." Dr. Kellner nodded. "We have seen them take broken species and help them rebuild. They share their technology. They share their food. They share their knowledge. A species that makes everyone around them stronger is the most dangerous threat imaginable," Elder Vorth concluded. The council sat in stunned silence. Finally, Commander Zex spoke. "What do we do about them?" Elder Vorth looked at the screen showing peaceful human families playing in parks. "We must study them more. We must learn their weaknesses. We must find a way to stop them before they discover us." But as he spoke these words, a junior officer rushed into the hall. His face was full of panic. "Elder Voth!" The officer gasped. "Long-range sensors detect something approaching our space. What is it?" Voth demanded. The officer's voice shook as he replied, "It's a human ship, sir. They're heading straight for us." Admiral Krenks of the Zephyrian Empire stood on the bridge of his massive warship. His red scales gleamed under the ship's lights. He had conquered 847 worlds in his long career. Every species had surrendered when they saw his fleet's power. "Sir, the human vessel is approaching," his officer reported. Admiral Krenks looked at the screen. The human ship was tiny compared to his battle cruiser. It looked weak and primitive. "One small ship?" Krenks laughed. "This will be easy." The human ship sent a message. A voice came through the speakers, calm and friendly. "Hello. This is Captain Sarah Martinez of Earthship Harmony. We come in peace. We would like to talk." Admiral Krenks smiled, showing his sharp teeth. Typical. They want to talk before they surrender. He opened a communication channel. "Human vessel, I am Admiral Krenks. You have entered Zephyrian space. Surrender now and your death will be quick." There was a pause. Then Captain Martinez replied, "I'm sorry, Admiral, but we can't do that. We're explorers, not conquerors. Maybe we can find a peaceful solution." Admiral Krenks was confused. Every species begged for mercy at this point. But this human sounded polite. "You refuse to surrender?" he asked. "We prefer to make friends," Martinez answered cheerfully. Admiral Krenks had never heard such words from enemies. "Friends? You are in my territory with weapons." "Actually, Admiral, we don't have any weapons," Martinez said. "Our ship is a science vessel. We're just curious about the universe." The bridge crew looked at each other in shock. "No weapons? What kind of military strategy was this?" "Then you will be easy to destroy," Admiral Krenks declared. He turned to his weapons officer. Fire warning shots. Bright energy beams shot past the human ship. But instead of running away, the human ship moved closer. "Admiral, those are impressive weapons," Martinez said calmly. "Our scientists would love to study your energy technology. Perhaps we could share knowledge." Admiral Krenks stared at the screen. This human wanted to learn from weapons being fired at her ship. Were all humans insane? "Last warning, human. Surrender or die." "We understand you see us as a threat," Martinez replied. "But we're not here to fight. We brought gifts to show our friendship." Gifts. Admiral Krenks had never received gifts from enemies. "We have music, art, stories, and food from our world," Martinez explained. "Humans believe sharing makes everyone stronger." Admiral Krenks was getting frustrated. This conversation was not going according to plan. "I don't want your gifts. I want your surrender." "Admiral, may I ask why surrender is so important to you?" Martinez asked gently. The question caught Krenks off guard. No one had ever asked him this before. Because that's how conquest works. I conquer, you surrender. "But what if there was a better way?" Martinez suggested. "What if instead of conquest we had cooperation?" Admiral Krenks felt his head spinning. Nothing this human said made sense according to his military training. "You're trying to confuse me with words," he shouted. "I will destroy you now." "Admiral, before you do that, can you tell me about your home world?" Martinez asked. "We're curious about your culture." My home world," Krenks stammered. "Yes, every species has something beautiful to share. What makes your people special?" For a moment, Admiral Krenks remembered his childhood on Zephyr Prime. The crystal cities, the singing flowers, the peaceful times before the wars began. Then he shook his head. "No, I will not be distracted." He ordered his weapons officer, "Fire all cannons." Energy beams shot toward the human ship. But something impossible happened. The small ship dodged every shot with perfect precision. "How?" Krenks gasped. "Admiral, our ship's computer learned your firing patterns," Martinez explained calmly. "Humans are good at adapting quickly." The human ship continued to dance between the energy beams like it was playing a game. "This is impossible," Krenks roared. "No ship is that fast." "Actually, sir," his science officer whispered, "their ship isn't faster than ours. They're just unpredictable." More shots were fired. The human ship avoided them all. Worse, it seemed to be enjoying the challenge. "Admiral," Martinez's voice came again, "your weapons are very accurate, but we've learned the patterns now. Should we show you some of our evasion techniques?" "Show me what?" Cranks asked. Suddenly the human ship began flying in ways that defied physics. It spun, rolled, and twisted through space like it was dancing. Admiral Cranks watched in amazement and horror. His massive war fleet couldn't hit one tiny human ship. "Stand down weapons," he ordered quietly. He opened communications again. "Human vessel, how did you do that?" "Practice, Admiral," Martinez replied. "Humans have been flying for less than 200 years, but we learn fast." Admiral Cranks looked at his fleet, then at the small human ship still dancing through space. For the first time in his military career, he felt afraid. The Galactic Council met again in emergency session. This time the hall was packed. Every species leader wanted to hear about the human encounter. Elder Vorth stood at the center, his blue face grave with worry. "Admiral Krennic has sent his report. The situation is worse than we thought." General Thax of the Warrior Guild slammed his metal fist on the table. "One ship defeated an entire fleet?" "Impossible. Not defeated," Elder Vorth corrected. "Something worse." They made Admiral Cranks question his own beliefs. A chill ran through the room. Mental manipulation was the most feared weapon in the galaxy. Dr. Kellner stepped forward with new data files. "We have received reports from 12 different species who encountered humans. The pattern is always the same." The main screen lit up with footage from various alien encounters. "The Crystalline Empire met humans near the Andromeda border," Dr. Kellner began. "The humans offered to share their music. Now half the crystalline population listens to human songs instead of their traditional crystal harmonics." Worried murmurs filled the room. "The Aquatic Federation encountered humans who were drowning in their own oceans," she continued. "Instead of letting them die, the aquatics saved them. Now humans and aquatics work together on underwater cities." Ambassador Quileth clicked nervously. "They turn enemies into allies." "Worse," Dr. Kellner replied. "Watch this." The screen showed footage of a human colony under attack by the savage Korgan raiders. Everyone expected to see the humans destroyed. Instead, they watched something incredible. The humans fought back, but not to kill. They fought to protect their families. When Korgan warriors fell injured, humans actually helped heal them. By the end of the battle, Dr. Kellner explained, 3 Korgan clans had switched sides to fight with the humans. General Thax stood up, his armor clanking. "This is military madness. You don't heal your enemies." "But it works," Elder Vorth said quietly. The healed Korgan warriors told other clans that humans were honorable. Now 7 Korgan clans have allied with humanity. The room erupted in frightened chatter. Commander Zex raised his clawed hand. "Surely their kindness is a weakness we can exploit." Dr. Kellner shook her head. "We thought so too. Watch this footage from the Hive Wars." The screen showed a massive alien hive under attack by space pirates. Human ships arrived just as the hive was about to fall. The humans had never met this species before, Dr. Kellner narrated. They had no reason to help, but they saw beings in danger and immediately joined the fight. The footage showed human ships diving into battle against impossible odds. They saved the hive, losing many of their own ships in the process. The Hive Queen was so grateful she offered the humans anything they wanted. Dr. Kellner continued. "The humans asked for friendship and a cultural exchange." "Cultural exchange?" Ambassador Trilox asked. "They wanted to learn about hive art and teach humans about individual creativity," Dr. Kellner explained. "Now the hive produces the most beautiful art in 3 sectors, combining their collective genius with human individual expression." Elder Vorth stepped forward. "Do you see the pattern? Every species that meets humans becomes stronger, more creative, more unified." The silence in the room was heavy with fear. "There's more," Dr. Kellner added. "Humans don't just make friends with peaceful species." The screen showed a prison planet where the galaxy's worst criminals were kept. Then it showed human ships landing there. "They went to the prison planet," General Thax gasped. "They brought teachers, doctors, and counselors," Dr. Kellner said. "They believed even criminals could change and become better." The footage showed former criminals working alongside humans, building new colonies and helping other species. 30% of those criminals are now productive citizens, Dr. Kellner reported. "They're more loyal to humans than they ever were to their original species." Elder Vorth looked around the terrified room. Now you understand the true threat. Humans don't conquer through fear. They conquer through hope. But conquering through hope is impossible. General Thax protested, is it? Elder Vorth asked. Look around this room. How many of you are thinking about what it would be like to have humans as allies instead of enemies? Several council members looked away, embarrassed. The thought had crossed their minds. That's exactly the problem, Elder Vorth continued. Even knowing their category red, we're drawn to them. They make us want to be better than we are, Commander Zex hissed. So what do? Elder Vorth was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke words that chilled everyone present. We eliminate them, all of them, before they can spread their influence any further. The vote was called. Species after species voted for war against humanity. But as the votes were counted, an aide rushed in with an urgent message. He whispered something in Elder Vorth's ear. Elder Vorth's face went pale. He looked up at the council. The vote is postponed, he announced shakily. We have just received a transmission from Earth. What kind of transmission? Dr. Kellner asked. Elder Vorth's voice was barely a whisper. They're inviting us to a peace conference. They want to talk. The great hall of the Galactic Council had been transformed into a meeting room. Security was maximum level. Every alien leader wore armor or brought bodyguards. They expected tricks, weapons, or threats. Instead, Captain Sarah Chen walked in alone, carrying a small basket. Elder Vorth watched her carefully. This human looked nothing like the terrifying conqueror he had imagined. She was small, with kind eyes and a gentle smile. Hello, everyone, Sarah said cheerfully. Thank you for agreeing to meet. I brought cookies from Earth. Would anyone like to try one? The silence was deafening. Admiral Krenks, who had fought Sarah's ship before, stared at the basket in confusion. Cookies? General Thax whispered to his aide. Is that a code word for weapons? Sarah heard him and laughed softly. Oh no, General. They're just sweet treats we humans make when we want to show friendship. My grandmother's recipe. She opened the basket. The smell of fresh-baked cookies filled the room. Several alien stomachs rumbled despite themselves. Dr. Kellner spoke first. Captain Chen, our research shows humans are extremely dangerous to galactic stability. Sarah looked genuinely confused. Dangerous? How so? You turn enemies into allies, Elder Vorth said accusingly. You spread chaos by making species abandon their traditional ways. Sarah sat down at the large table, completely relaxed. May I ask what you mean by traditional ways? Conquest submission hierarchy, Commander Zex listed. The natural order of stronger species ruling weaker ones, Sarah nodded thoughtfully. I see. And how has that system worked for everyone? The question caught the council off guard. What do you mean? Elder Vorth asked. Well, Sarah said gently, are your people happy? Do they feel fulfilled? Are there wars, poverty, suffering? Ambassador Quillith shifted uncomfortably. Her species had been at war for 3 centuries. That's not the point, General Thax growled. Order must be maintained. But what if there was a better kind of order? Sarah suggested, one based on cooperation instead of domination. She pulled out a small device and projected images into the air. The aliens saw human cities, but not what they expected. This is New Geneva, Sarah explained. Humans, Korgan warriors, crystalline singers, and aquatic engineers all live together. Crime is almost zero. Everyone has food, shelter, and meaningful work. The images showed alien children playing with human children. Different species working together on amazing projects. How is this possible? Dr. Kellner asked, leaning forward despite herself. We learned something important in human history, Sarah said. Fighting each other makes everyone weaker. Working together makes everyone stronger. She showed more images. Hospitals where human doctors worked alongside alien healers. Schools where different species shared knowledge. Art galleries combining the creativity of multiple cultures. But your species fights constantly, Commander Zex accused. Our intelligence shows human wars throughout history. Sarah's expression grew sad. You're right. Humans have fought terrible wars. We've made horrible mistakes. Millions died because of our conflicts. The aliens nodded, expecting her to deny human violence. But that's exactly why we learned to choose peace, Sarah continued. When you've seen the cost of war, you understand the value of friendship. Admiral Krenks spoke for the first time. When I fought your ship, you could have destroyed my fleet. Why didn't you? Sarah looked directly at him. Because destroying you wouldn't have solved anything. It would have made more enemies, more fear, more war. But we were going to kill you, Krennic said quietly. I know, Sarah replied. But you were afraid. Fear makes people do things they don't really want to do. She stood up and walked to a large window showing space. Look out there, she said. Billions of stars, trillions of worlds, infinite possibilities for discovery, creation and wonder. Why waste time fighting when we could be exploring together? Ambassador Trylox raised a tentacle. But our species have different needs, different cultures. Different doesn't mean enemy, Sarah said warmly. Different means opportunity to learn. She pulled out another device. This one played music, a beautiful blend of human melodies with alien harmonics. This was created by human musicians working with crystalline singers, Sarah explained. Neither species could have made this alone. The music filled the room. Despite themselves, many aliens found it beautiful. Elder Vorth stood up abruptly. You're doing it again, making us want to join you. Sarah looked confused. I'm sorry, I don't understand. This feeling, Vorth exclaimed. This hope, this desire for something better. It's exactly what makes you dangerous. Sarah was quiet for a moment. Then she spoke very softly. Elder Vorth, is hope really something to fear? The question hung in the air. Around the room, alien leaders looked at each other uncertainly. Finally, old Elder Korth of the Ancient Ones spoke. He had been silent until now. I have lived for 800 years, he said slowly. I have seen empires rise and fall. I have watched species destroy themselves and others. He stood up, his ancient bones creaking. Never once have I seen a species offer hope instead of dominance. He walked toward Sarah. The entire room held its breath. Young human, he said, your people terrify us because you offer something we thought was impossible. What's that? Sarah asked gently. Elder Korth's old eyes filled with something that looked like wonder. You offer us a chance to be better than we are. The room was completely silent. Then Elder Korth did something shocking. He reached into Sarah's basket and took a cookie. Elder Korth looked at the cookie in his ancient hand. The entire Galactic Council watched in complete silence. 800 years of life had led to this moment. May I tell you a story? Elder Korth asked Sarah. Sarah nodded, sitting down to listen respectfully. Long ago, my people were much like yours, Elder Korth began. We were curious, hopeful, always trying to help others. His old voice grew heavy with sadness. We found a dying species called the Mellery. Their planet was poisoned, their children sick. We shared our technology to heal them. The council listened intently. They had never heard this story. The Mellery became strong again. They learned our science, our medicine, our peaceful ways. Elder Korth paused. Then they used our own weapons to attack us. Sarah's eyes filled with understanding and sorrow. We barely survived, Elder Korth continued. After that betrayal, my people became cold, suspicious. We decided kindness was weakness. We helped create this galaxy of conquest and fear. He looked around the room at all the armored, suspicious faces. For 8 centuries, I have regretted that choice. We let one bad experience destroy our faith in goodness. Elder Korth took a small bite of the cookie. His ancient eyes widened slightly. This tastes like hope, he said softly. General Thack stood up angrily. Elder Korth, you cannot let sentiment cloud your judgment. Humans are dangerous. Yes, Elder Korth agreed. They are dangerous, but not in the way you think. He turned to face the entire council. Humans are dangerous to fear, dangerous to hatred, dangerous to the idea that we must hurt others to protect ourselves. Sarah stood up slowly. Elder Korth, may I share something? He nodded. Humans learned the same lesson your people learned, Sarah said. We trusted, got betrayed, and became suspicious too. She activated her projector again. This time it showed dark images from human history. These are our wars. Millions dead because we stopped trusting each other. The images were terrible, destroyed cities, suffering people. But then we learned something important, Sarah continued. Being hurt by some people doesn't mean all people will hurt you. The images changed to show humans helping former enemies, building peace after wars. We chose to keep hoping, even after betrayal, even after loss, because hope is stronger than fear. Elder Korth finished his cookie and stood up with new energy. "I call for a vote," he announced. "Not on whether to destroy humans, but on whether to join them." "Join them?" Commander Zex hissed. "I propose we change humanity's classification from Category Red to something new," Elder Korth said firmly. Dr. Kellner stepped forward. "What classification would that be?" Elder Korth looked at Sarah, then at the council. "Category Hope." The room erupted in debate. Some aliens argued for war, others for peace. Admiral Krenk stood up. "I fought humans directly. They could have destroyed my fleet, but chose mercy instead." He paused. "I vote with Elder Korth." One by one, other leaders shared their thoughts. Ambassador Quileth: "My people have been at war for centuries. Maybe it's time to try something different." Dr. Kellner: "From a scientific perspective, human cooperation models show better long-term survival rates." The votes were counted. When the results came in, Elder Vorth announced them with amazement. "The motion passes. Humanity is reclassified as Category Hope." Sarah smiled, tears in her eyes. "What does that mean exactly?" "It means," Elder Korth explained, "that instead of seeing you as a threat to avoid, we see you as a future to embrace." Time jump. Hopeful music swells. 6 months later, the galaxy had changed dramatically. The former war fleets were now exploration vessels, with mixed crews of humans and aliens discovering new worlds together. Dr. Kellner worked alongside human scientists, making breakthrough discoveries in medicine and technology. Admiral Krennex commanded a joint task force protecting trade routes, with humans and Zephyrians serving together. The old prison planets became rehabilitation centers where former criminals learned new skills and found purpose. Most importantly, children of different species grew up together, learning that differences were something to celebrate, not fear. Sarah stood on the observation deck of the new Galactic Cooperation Station, watching ships from dozens of species working together in space. Elder Korth joined her, moving much more easily thanks to human medical advances. "Do you ever regret it?" Sarah asked. "Choosing hope over safety?" Elder Korth smiled, something he hadn't done in centuries. "My dear human friend, safety without hope isn't really living. It's just existing." He looked out at the bustling space station, where species that had been enemies for millennia now shared meals, stories and dreams. Besides, he added with a chuckle, "Your people make excellent cookies." Sarah laughed. "Wait until you try our ice cream." In the distance, a new ship approached the station. It belonged to a species the galaxy had never seen before, young, curious, and slightly afraid. Sarah and Elder Korth exchanged knowing looks. "Shall we go welcome them?" Sarah asked. "With cookies?" Elder Korth suggested. "With cookies," Sarah agreed. As they walked toward the docking bay together, the camera pulled back to show the vast station floating in space, a symbol of what was possible when beings chose hope over fear. The galaxy would never be the same, and for the first time in millennia, that was exactly what everyone wanted.